And when it comes to big decisions, it can be really difficult to make the decision. So first of all, I would try and look at the decision and I would think about, is this a type 1 decision or a type 2 decision? Okay, is this a type 1 decision or type 2 decision? What do I mean by type 1, type 2? Type 1 decision is the kind of decision which is very easily reversible. So it's something that you could basically do and then reverse immediately. So for example, let's imagine that I'm going to buy an accessory. Like this is an accessory that I bought from Amazon. I'm thinking, which accessory do I buy? I know if I order this from Amazon right now, I can in 2 days time be like, oh, I don't like it, I'll give it back. So it can be very easily reversed. But other things are much harder to reverse or are irreversible. For example, if I quit my job today, I might not be able to get my job back. So the decision, whenever you're making a decision, you want to ask yourself, is this a type 1 decision or type 2 decision? And then if it's a type 1 decision, you want to try and make it quite fast because you can reverse it. And sometimes what happens, I do this, everyone does this. If I'm going to buy another accessory, like here's a light that I bought, right? I might spend 1.5 hours of research on what light to buy. Whereas if I just looked at Amazon and bought the first one in 2 minutes, I probably would have saved an hour. Right? And if I didn't like it, I could just give it back and go again. So you want to get into the habit of making good decisions fast. And if they're type 1 decisions, you can make them very fast. When you have a type 2 decision, what you want to do is, first of all, I think it's useful to write stuff down. So I would actually write down what are the options, what are the decisions to make. I would write that down. And then after writing it down, I would be asking myself, are there any more options? Because we do this thing where we basically have something called a sucker's choice, where we basically just say to ourselves, oh, either I'm going to be happy or I'm going to be rich. And that's not true. What about if I want to be happy and rich, right? So what you want to do is you want to look at it and look, are there any other choices? And look at all the other kind of choices. Once that's done and you've written down what the main thing is, what the other options are, what the other choices are, then you basically want to make this decision based upon your future. You don't want to make the decision based upon now. If we start making decisions in the now, it actually messes with our thing. For example, let's say I'm laying on bed, I'm relaxing, I feel really good, and then adhan goes for Asr. And I'm like, if I go the way I feel right now, I feel like just laying here. So I don't want to go with feeling right now. I want to go with the long term. So when you're thinking about which one shall I do, you should be thinking a bit more about where do I want to go in my life? What do I want my life to look like in this much time? And of these options, which one will get me there faster, better, in the way that I want? So that's one thing, is like trying to figure out where you want to go and see which option will take you there. Also, you could ask yourself, like, what do you value? So for example, you might be in a situation where you could give money to this situation, this person, or you could give money to this person. And the decision really just goes on what you value more. Like maybe you value giving money to orphans more than giving water. So some of this is personal choice, some of this is values. So I would look at where am I going to go in the future, look at my personal values, and then what I would do is, another thing is, I would actually look at perspectives. So we know different types of human beings, and I would do this in my business with my business partner. I was, bro, the way we're thinking about this, we're thinking we should do this. If brother X was here, he would actually be thinking completely different. He would be thinking you should do this. And if brother Y was here, he would be saying do this. And if my mum was looking at this, she would say this. And so what you do is you just get different perspectives and you look at the same choices and the same things. And what this does is it gives you more context. And so after all of this context, what I would do then is I would basically ask advice. So I would go to someone who I know, who I can trust, who knows me well, and I'll be like, this is a situation, what do you advise? After they've given me advice, I would see where I sway. Do I, like, internally, how do I feel based on everything? After doing all of that, do I feel more towards this way or this way? And if I feel more towards this way, then I'm like, okay, bismillah, I'm going to do this way. And then what I would do is I would pray istikhara. I would be like, I'm going that way, and I would do everything possible to go that way and not let anything stop me, inshallah.